What's going on, everybody? TL Branson here, and today we're talking about the best YA Fantasy A books. Thanks for watching YA Fantasy Addicts. This is the channel where we talk about all things YA Fantasy. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, then hit that bell so that you're notified the next time we post a video. So what do I mean by A books? I mean the books that begin with the letter A. No, we're not talking about A Court of Thorns and Roses. According to the library catalog, that would be a C. The articles A, An, and The typically come at the end of a title, and so books with articles will show up in different categories. In the YA Fantasy Addicts Facebook group, we're going A to Z, listing out the best YA fantasy books. And today we're going to talk about the A's. Don't worry about writing all these down. I'll put a full list of the top 10 books down in the description, along with a link of where you can find them. Let's get started. The first book is Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. You probably know Kendare Blake as the author of 3 Dark Crowns. I haven't read either book, so I can't really speak to them. Number 9 on the list is Carrie by Lynette Noni. One of our YA Fantasy Addicts admins loves Lynette Noni's books, and Carrie is one of her favorites. Again, I've not read it, so I can't speak to it, but it is on my TBR, and I'm looking forward to it. Number 8 is Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. You guessed it, yet again, another book that I haven't read. I have heard of this one, though, and I'm not really sure it's my thing, but since you all recommended it, I'll take a look at it again and consider it. Number 7 of the best YA Fantasy A books, and the only book on this list that I've read, is All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I'm currently reading book 2, All the Tides of Fate, and I'm loving it. This is a great book, and I'm kind of sad it only ended up on number 7. But I think it's because you all just don't know about it. So I want you to know, this is a book deserving better of place number 7. Bump it up your list. I promise you won't be disappointed. What's it about? Pirates, mermaids, unique magic, and an island empire. It's really awesome, really unique, and I promise you don't want to miss it. Number 6 is Angel Fall by Susan E. I don't even know anything about this book. I'd never even heard of it before this list, so I'm sorry I can't really explain it, but I'll pop the cover up right here. Coming in at number 5 is a book that I really should have read already, but I did watch the movie, and that's Artemis Fowl by Eoin Colfer. Artemis Fowl is kind of a borderline fantasy, and it's almost more borderline middle grade from what I understand, but there are fantastical elements to it, so it is deserving to be on this list of YA Fantasy A books. Artemis Fowl by Eoin Colfer comes in at number 5. Book number 4 is one I'm really looking forward to, and that's Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. Based on how much you guys talk about this book in the group, I've purchased all 3 of these books on ebook already, and I'm excited to read them whenever I get some time in my busy schedule. But after this list, I think I'm going to make an effort to push Ash Princess toward the top. Number 3, and almost the runner-up on the list, Alana, the First Adventure by Tamora Pierce. In fact, this book didn't make the initial poll that I created because it wasn't in the nominations, but a few of you asked that it be added, and I'm glad I did because you all voted for it enough that it made it into the 3rd spot. Alana, the First Adventure, probably the first book that Tamora Pierce wrote, I think. At least it's a fairly old book based on the cover. Number 2, and definitely a group favorite. I've seen it all over the place, and I happen to know the author. Elise Kova wrote Air Awakens. Air Awakens comes in at the number 2 spot, earning the runner-up title in our top 10 YA fantasy books that begin with the letter A. I actually really like this because it begins with 2 A's, and it came in 2nd place. I'm kind of weird like that. Air Awakens. Check it out. And finally, the winner, sitting at number 1, is Aurora Rising. If this is a surprise to anyone, then you haven't read this book yet. Neither have I. I'm sorry. But everything that I've heard about it is a book that I need to read, and soon. But why haven't I read it yet? Well, I've been told that the cliffhanger in book number 2 is really, really bad. Like, Must have book 3 now. Where is book 3? And since it's not available yet, I haven't started. But once book 3 comes, you better believe I will be jumping on the Aurora Rising bandwagon. I have heard nothing but good news of this book, and the authors Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff are fan favorites over in the YA Fantasy Addicts Facebook group. Well, there you have it. The top 10 YA fantasy books that begin with the letter A as voted by you. The B's are already done, and I'll be putting that video together shortly. Currently in the YA Fantasy Addicts Facebook group, we're voting on the C's. If you're not yet a member of the YA Fantasy Addicts Facebook group, go ahead and find us there at facebook.com/groups/YA Fantasy Addicts. The polls are always pinned in the announcements, so you can check there to nominate and vote for your favorite YA fantasy books. Once again, if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that like button and the subscribe button, and we'll see you again next time.